All right, first and foremost, this is the this is the headline that I was cracking up when I saw this. U.S. diplomats in China subjected to anal swab testing for COVID-19. State Department says. All right, the U.S. had received assurances from China that the tests were done in error. A State Department spokesperson said. And this is let's see, this maybe the what is this here? Yeah, the U.S. Embassy in Beijing. U.S. diplomats in China were subjected to anal swab tests for COVID-19. The spokesperson confirmed Thursday, adding that a protest had been lodged with the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The United States had received assurances from China that the tests were done in error and that diplomatic personnel were exempt from this specific testing requirement. The department is committed to guaranteeing the safety and security of American diplomats and their families while preserving their dignity. Consistent with the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, as well as other relevant diplomatic law provisions, the spokesperson said. The story was first reported by the Washington Post. What a surprise. Oh, of course. Who knows what to believe from that publication. However, Zhao Lingjiang, a spokesperson for the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, told a news conference Thursday that he had checked with his colleagues. As far as he knew, China has never asked U.S. diplomats stationed in China to have anal swab tests. So they didn't ask. That's what I'm gathering from this. They didn't even ask. You're getting these anal swabs. That's what I'm getting. My goodness. Some health experts say the anal swab tests are more accurate than nasal and mouth swabs to detect virus traces. These swabs could be more effective because traces of the virus stay in fecal matter for longer time than those in respiratory tract. Dr. Li Tongzheng, a respiratory disease doctor in Beijing, told Chinese state television last month. Ahead of the Lunar New Year's holidays, earlier this month, some Chinese cities used anal swab samples on people to detect potential infections during stepped-up screenings after a spat of regional outbreaks. In mainland China, 89,864 COVID-19 cases have been confirmed since the outbreak began. That's it? Not even 100,000 cases? Wait, I'm sorry, what? Okay, remember, this is China. Chinese numbers that they're telling us. While the death toll has remained unchanged for some time at 4,636 people, according to the data from the country's National Health Commission. Okay, so those numbers got to be BS. And if they're not BS, all it makes me think about is the numbers that we're getting, right? Because I've done many segments on this, so many segments, my goodness. And one of the things that stands out is the lack of other deaths. Look at the flu numbers, the flu death numbers, practically nil for the past 6 months. Why? Because everything was a COVID death. You get hit by a bus if you had COVID, it was a COVID death. If you had a terrible heart disease and you died and you had COVID death. So literally everything is a COVID death. So what if, mind you, the Chinese numbers are accurate, that there was only 4,636 people that died just because of COVID alone and not from something they were going to die of anyway. Now, this is just speculation, okay? But it really makes you think, right? So yeah, there's of course a big old piece saying China denies requiring U.S. diplomats to take anal swab tests. Do you believe them? Do you not believe them? I don't know what to believe anymore. I don't think I believe them. I think they in the other article they said they never asked these diplomats. Well, we never asked any U.S. diplomats to get this swab. Okay, well, did you tell them they have to or they can't leave the room? You know, did you give them a choice? Why would the State Department, the U.S. State Department, report that they actually had it done? Why? Suddenly, so are we supposed to trust the media in China over the U.S. State Department? I mean, not to say that I trust either one of them 100%, but I mean, if I'm going to have to choose, which would you choose? You know, I think I'm going to go with the U.S. State Department over Chinese media. I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to have to believe the U.S. State Department. Although it's funny because, you know, I was saying, look at those numbers. comparing to what we know about the death count in America, about how they fluffed it and how 40% of them were, old people dying. And then look at the percentages of only COVID deaths versus ones that had other symptoms, other things that were, comorbidities that people were getting hit with. So I don't know. It's interesting. And then we got this kind of article. So this is about COVID. It's not really about the anal probe things. That was something. I just want to, now we're on the subject. I just want to point this out. Look at this. This is from 538. So you got vaccinated and then you got COVID. Now what? Oh no. Look at this. All right. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. David Flint took his mask off a week into after getting the COVID vaccine, and then he ended up getting COVID. And, he was vaccinated against it, so he assumed he'd be immune. All right, right then and there is already the issue, okay? Your mind state's wrong, man. Getting the vaccine doesn't make you immune, all right? That's not how it works, okay? You have to think about a vaccine as a weapon, not a shield. People are thinking like, once you get the vaccine, you got this shield. Now you can't like penetrate this shield. No, it's a weapon that helps your body prepare for COVID hitting your body. Like, okay, you get it, now your body's ready for it. It even says like he has, let's see, yes, he was one of the first because he works in hospice services. He'd been fully vaccinated for a week. The odds were in his favor, to survive it. So when it does hit his body, he was prepped for it. Of course, the odds are fickle things. And he survived this. So they're not talking about. So see, they're trying to convince you that the vaccine isn't going to work, when in reality, this article is proving that it worked. It's showing, hey, it actually worked. Like, he was diagnosed. And he beat it. It even says here, diagnosed with mostly asymptomatic case of COVID-19. And there you go. So he was like, oh man, he didn't expect to be one of the people who slipped through the cracks. Through what cracks? 95% efficiency to keep you alive. Literally everyone who gets this vaccine is getting a little bit of it in them. Isn't that how vaccines work? You get a little bit of it. It introduces your body, so your body creates those antibodies to be able to beat it. This is from Chet Chisholm. I sent it to him because he's a paramedic in Canada and has sent me many, many, many articles on COVID throughout the past, honestly, for a full year. This guy's been watching, was on the Timcast show. He actually is the one who created the Krigsville Chronicle. I don't know how many people remember that newspaper. He won the meme contest, and it was incredible. Anyway, getting sidetracked. He sent me this because I sent him to this. I was like, wouldn't this article show that it just means he had antibodies in his system to beat COVID? And, doesn't the vaccine introduce some of the virus? These are my questions that I sent him. And this is his response. He goes, yeah, pretty much. The RNA vaccine teaches some cells how to make the spike protein, the antigen, and display it, with which the immune system will then target and destroy. This gets the body prepped to fight the virus should it enter the body, as it will recognize those spike proteins as foreign and know how to deal with it. As with any vaccine, it doesn't guarantee you won't get sick, but it should shorten the length of the time you are sick, reduce how sick you will get, and decrease the amount of the virus that you may spread to others as your body is better prepared to ward off the invader. It will vary from person to person, too. People with stronger immune systems will do better than those with weaker ones when vaccinated. Vaccinating those who are most likely to contract the virus and those who are vulnerable first makes the most sense, as it gives them the opportunity to ward off or recover from infection and reduce the likelihood that they give a nasty case of it to others. And he goes on to say, I don't like how this article is written, comes across as fear-mongering. And I 100% agree. And then, of course, he sent me a lot of interesting stuff on the mRNA vaccines, lots of videos. And Chet, thank you for your input. You're always a good help to go to for some questions that I have regarding this kind of stuff. But it's interesting that this is what we're seeing. We're seeing this fear. They're talking about a second and third wave, a mutation, and the vaccine won't even work because it doesn't stop the virus. Well, no one actually... Who was saying that the vaccine was going to stop the virus in the first place? As he just explained, it's not about preventing you from getting it. It's about prepping your body, especially if you're unhealthy. It even says, if you're healthy and you have a strong immune system, there's a 99%. These are the actual numbers. There's a 99% chance of beating it. I think it's higher than that, 99.9996 or some number like that. It's been a while since I've had to look at these numbers, but they say here the vaccine has a 95% chance of, keeping you alive from it. So why wouldn't we just advocate for being healthy, right? Being healthy and having a strong immune system, getting some sunshine on your face, getting some exercise, getting your blood going, getting oxygen to your muscles and your body so that you can remain healthy. No, we need to be artificially kept alive. That's the best. We need the vaccines because they're 95% efficient. Trust the science. Trust the silence. The silence, yeah. That was a slip, but it actually kind of fit, doesn't it? Look, all this, the term trust the science, someone asked on Twitter today, it said, what does trust the science even mean? And my response was, it means shut up and obey. Shut up and accept the truth that we're giving you. They use it whenever is convenient. Well, here's an interesting article about COVID that I found. Sex differences in immune responses. So this came out the 22nd of January. Plenty of time to do much research. Evidence increasingly indicates that male sex is a risk factor for more severe disease and death from COVID-19. Male bias in COVID-19 mortality is observed in nearly all countries with available sex disaggregated data. And the risk of death in males is 1.7 times higher than in females. So wait. Hold on. Wait. If I am to gather this correctly, the science on COVID has nothing to do with, gender, all right? But I'm going to bring it in because this was a hot topic yesterday that I was talking about with Carlin. This is science proving that there's a more differences between biological males and biological females. I see, trust the science. Gosh, I want to trust the science, and I do trust the science, actual science. When you look at what's going on, you have the different studies that are going on. Plenty of studies have been going down. Someone just said COVID is sexist. Yeah, maybe it is, but it's proving that there's two genders. This is proof. This is science right here. This is the science. There's a difference in the mortality rates between men and women. It doesn't take into account non-binary people because everyone's born one way or another. Now they're on Facebook or they're on Twitter today going, gender reveal parties are sexist or transphobic because you're forcing gender onto a child. Okay, this is getting ridiculous. It's getting out of hand. All right. I'm kind of bouncing between the subjects, and this was all about Chinese anal probes on U.S. officials. But, I was like, I haven't talked about COVID in a little while, and I wanted to just bring that out and show you guys.